Someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And I love when I have people that's, just kind of, you know, want to express and utilize their voice to make change, man. However you define change, it's different for different people. So before we go into that, Sizzle, tell me who we have today. Who do we have today? We got Theresa Brunson. You want to give a little background on you? We can jump right into it.
Well, I just want to take the this time to kind of highlight a little some things in her career because she's done a lot of things.
Right.
Her as far as education, she attended Northeast High School. You were part of the Aerospace Magnet.
Yes, I was.
Yes, and she went to University of Pittsburgh and attended Howard University School of Law.
Yes.
She's a former assistant district attorney, judicial law clerk for Court of Common Pleas, program director for Mother in Charge Incorporated, El Shabazz at Harris LLC, represented members of the Local 332, Philadelphia City Council legislator director, Philadelphia City Council chief of staff, Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission attorney investigator, founder of the Civil Legal Services Solutions Incorporated, Barristers Association of Philadelphia member, and then she has the law office of Theresa Brunson Esquire.
Yes.
And for the community, she was Philadelphia Democratic City Committee volunteer attorney, Democratic committee person for the 17th Ward, 3rd Division, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Pennsylvania chapter member, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated member,
Yep.
National Bar Association Women's Division member, volunteers for the indigent volunteer attorney, a concerned community association member, Giving of Self Partnership Incorporated board member, second.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
her. Let
Second
me tell you, listen, we can't do her any justice
Yeah.
with the background that she has. This young lady has, black girl. I always love black girl
Yes.
magic, man. When you talk about, just someone who has a wealth of knowledge and earned her right to do certain things, man. Because I'm a firm believer that you just can't just jump out there and just say, hey, I just want to do something. Right, so why don't you, before we go into anything, Miss Theresa Brunson, should we call you Esquire? Is that how? Let's talk about what you're doing first, and then we'll talk about how how you like to be defined.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, you want to know what I'm doing right now?
Yes,
Right now, I have my
absolutely.
own law firm, the law office of Theresa Brunson Esquire,
Right.
and I also founded a nonprofit.
Fantastic.
Where I provide civil legal services for domestic violence victims. So
Fantastic.
whenever they need help in court to get a protection from abuse order, if they need help with child custody, child support, and even landlord-tenant issues, because sometimes domestic violence can get you in a situation where you have to leave your property that you are renting or living in, and I give them assistance with that. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I love it. I've been an attorney for almost 25 years here in Philadelphia, ever since I graduated from Howard University School of Law in 1994. Passed the bar in 95, and I have been in Philadelphia working ever since in the community. I started out as an assistant district attorney under Lynn Abraham. I worked there for a decade.
Wow.
In the Family Violence and Sexual Assault Unit, and that's where I found, I believe my niche was to work with domestic violence victims, and so that's always been an area that I wanted to pursue throughout my legal career. So no matter where I worked, I always had some, attachment,
Right.
some desire to work on behalf of domestic violence victims.
Fantastic, fantastic. We need services like that. Fantastic. So before we get into you throwing your hat in the pot, as so many people as we've been hearing to date, very similar to the sister Kamala Harris.
Okay.
In relation to some of the things she has been doing and some of the things you have been doing. But I got to shout out because I'm from the D9 also. So I got to shout you out.
All right.
You know, sister.
That's right. Shout
Alpha
me
Kappa
out.
Alpha.
Skiwi. Yes.
Ski
indeed.
Yes.
Wee, you know? So I got to shout out because I love the D9, man. And, you know, anytime, you know, you see, you know, people within the D9 doing exactly what their mission is.
Absolutely.
You know, in terms of service and scholarship. You know, it's one of the things that I love when someone come here and you're a prime example of that.
Absolutely.
Scholarship and a service.
Service to all mankind.
There you
That's
go.
what we
You
do.
know, regardless
Okay.
of who you are, what you are, how
Absolutely.
however you identify, right? And so let's talk about you throwing your hat in the race, man.
Okay,
You know,
yes.
first let's talk about what you're running for.
Okay.
Because we're free thinkers here. We're independents. You know, we say, look, anybody's invited. If you're able to talk and have the questions and talk about what your platform is and what you're doing, then we're open to hear.
Okay. Well, right now I'm running for judge of Court of Common Pleas here in
Okay.
Philadelphia. And I've done it after a lot of time thinking about it. I didn't
Okay.
want to just, like you say, jump out there and just, you know, go out there and make shipwreck, as we say in church.
Okay.
I have practiced law for 25 years, so I feel as though I'm very comfortable in the courtroom. I have tried jury trials, bench trials, and just about every court in, not just about, in every court in Philadelphia County, civil, family, criminal. So I've done it all, and I've worked in the community. And what's more important is I've worked with the people. I haven't just been in the courtroom. I haven't just been in the DA's office.
right.
I've been in the streets as well, marching with mothers in charge and, you know, consoling mothers who have lost their children to violence and things of that nature, domestic violence victims. So I think I have also developed the ability to have compassion for individuals and not just read law books and know what the facts are and what the law are and how we're going to intermesh them to determine whether or not somebody's guilty or innocent. You know, there's a certain level of compassion you also have to have.
Absolutely.
And I believe I have that as well.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about why do you believe that you're qualified? We have a lot of people that's out there that may be doing some similar things that you're doing.
Correct.
What makes you stand out?
I believe what makes me stand out, number one, is my upbringing in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I grew up in Philadelphia in West Oak Lane, and I did things that most children do growing up in Philadelphia in the 80s. I came of age in the 80s, so that was, of course, what is referred to now as the crack era. So I saw a lot of things that people in that era saw. We saw a lot of guys out on the street making a lot of money and, you know, driving fancy cars, and that was short-lived because the next thing we knew, they were in trials with 20 people going to federal prison for most of their lives, for the rest of their lives, and that had a big effect on me. And looking at that made me interested in the law, you know, and how it affects our lives, and that was criminal law at that point. And also, my education at Howard University School of Law, they taught us that we were not to just go out into the world and make a lot of money. That wasn't our mission. You know, we come from where Thurgood Marshall went to school. The great Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, as well as Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the architect of, I guess, dismantling legalized segregation in this country. And so we had a mission to go out into the community and be social engineers for justice. And so that I kept that with me wherever I went. And that is the main thing that I stand out that makes me stand out from other people running for judge.
Interesting. So I think that's an excellent transition to talk about your platform then.
Well, my platform is I believe everyone is entitled to equal justice under the law.
I love that.
On a level playing field.
I like that you said that first. Okay.
A level playing field, because a lot of people believe that when they go to court, they feel sometimes that they're not getting a fair deal. They feel as though that people are biased in the court. And that comes from not just them going to court, but hearing the stories of people, I guess they feel being railroaded or not being heard when they go to court. And that is something I'd like to change. I would like to change the perception of what goes on in the legal system. You know, if I make it to the bench, when I make it to the bench, I would like to intermesh community and the bench, meaning I will continue to work in the community. I won't just get up on the bench and, I can't do that anymore because, I'm a judge now. No, I'm going to continue to work in the community so people in our community can see judges working in the community, interacting with people, and, letting it be known that we're not queens and kings once we get elected. We are true people of the community, and we're right in the community with the rest of
them.
them.
And I love that you came to our show, because what generally happens is people, they get a little, I like to use the word Hollywood sometimes, but they get scared, and it's like, no, don't be scared. You should be able to come and talk to, we are the people.
Absolutely.
We are the people. And we have a platform, and it's people that watch and listen. I mean, you're talking about we in over 250,000 households.
Wow.
Right? And you're talking about us being international. We're all over the place. We're syndicated.
That's
right?
fabulous.
And so for us to be able to touch so many people and to really be the heartbeat, so to speak, I mean, it's very important. You got something to say, Sizzle?
It is.
Well, I guess this is kind of like sidebar, but there's been like this initiative as far as reforming the criminal justice system, and launched by Jay-Z and Meek Mill recently.
Absolutely.
So, what are your thoughts on reforming the criminal justice system? And
well, I think if the reforms are to, righten the ship to make sure that fairness is built into the system, and it's not just, one group of people's idea of what criminal justice should look like, which I think it may have been for a long time since the government was involved in creating the mandatory minimums and things like that. In the 90s, I believe, 80s, and as a response to what happened in the 80s. I believe that any efforts to make sure the system is fair for everybody are good initiatives, and I think that what Jay-Z is trying to do is trying to get the information out there to the people, and also trying to advocate for change to come. I think that can only be a good thing, because when the system is unfair, you have a whole lot of people who just have no respect for it and have no, they don't have a belief in it. So I think that what they're doing is trying to at least bring the attention to it now, so that maybe there's some people who will see a difference.
Right.
Maybe it will change people's minds.
Yeah,
right.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I'm glad, in hearing you speak, because sometimes things could be misleading, in reading and knowing that you have, worked for the DA, and, worked under people like Lynn Abraham.
Absolutely.
Who has a very challenging background when it comes to people who look like us.
Right.
And to hear that, this is what I stand on. I'm talking about being fair to the people. I have put in that service to the people. That means a lot to someone like me who has been, my undergrad was in criminal justice.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And hearing and understanding what mandatory minimums did to the community.
Absolutely.
And people who look like me, and that some of those people are still there.
Absolutely.
Doing 30, 40 years.
Yes.
When I could look at something and say, hey, you know what? That was just like this. And how come they're not in here just like the people who look like me? So I love the fact that you talk about equality and being equal on a level playing field.
And I think that's what the criminal justice reform is trying to do.
Absolutely.
Because there was some feelings that the sentences that people got were completely inappropriate with regard to whatever activity they had engaged in. So it had to be rightened.
Yes.
It had to be rightened.
I love that. I love that. Now, another hard question: if you're on a debate, right, and you have people who are opposed to you running, like maybe other people threw their hats in, what would how would you feel that you would stand out? You kind of answered it, but how do you feel that you would stand out in more favor for the people in contrast to your counterparts?
Well, I think a lot of the experiences that I had as a black woman practicing law in Philadelphia have definitely made me stand out, because I had to be not just smarter than the average lawyer. I had to be stronger than the average lawyer and tougher than the average lawyer. Because a lot of times I would walk to the courtroom and they would think I was a stenographer. You know,
Really?
they would not think that I was the ADA or even a lawyer.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
So that was something I had to combat throughout my career. And, you know, you just learn to kind of get in your lane and work with it. And that's what I did. Even in the DA's office, I mean, there were challenges there.
Okay.
You know, everything wasn't a rosy, a bed of roses.
Okay, I'm sure.
There were difficulties. You know, there weren't very many of us there, but you know, you had to kind of find your lane and stay in it and make sure you're always looking over your shoulder, because you never knew where incoming was going to come in that was directed at you.
Right.
Because I wasn't the type of DA who would just kind of just push cases through. You know what I mean? There were times when I had to report police officers for things that they were doing that I felt were improper. And that didn't make me a favored person. You know, it made people look at me kind of suspiciously. But we were there, we were sworn to seek justice. So if somebody did something that I felt was unjust, I had to report them.
There you go. And as you say, justice is supposed to be blind. Right?
Absolutely.
And I like that, because it's crazy because you answered that question, because I was going to say, you know, you have our boys in blue who are at this point, you know, very visible, and it's a lot of things with regarding police brutality, and you just kind of answered. I mean, if you're forced to, when you talk about justice, right and wrong, are you willing to take that step to say, no, this is wrong? I don't care what it is.
Well, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Yeah,
I had to
absolutely.
do it. I had no choice.
Fantastic.
Do you feel like the climate has changed any now, as we, you know, compared to when you were there? Or?
Well, from people who I know who work, I think the climate has changed a lot, because a lot of people who I knew of as public defenders are now in the DA's office. So I'm pretty sure things have changed a lot in the DA's office. I personally don't know, because I do criminal, but not a lot.
Okay.
Not enough to know like different DAs like I knew them when I was there. But I hear that there are a lot of big changes in that office now. Now I don't know if people consider them for the good or for the bad, but there's a lot of changes.
So you're running for judge for
Court of Common Pleas.
Court of Common Pleas.
Yes.
Real quick, for the people who don't understand what the Court of Common Pleas is, can you kind of give an overview of that real quick?
The Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia County is the main trial court where it's in 3 separate divisions. There's a civil branch, and there's a criminal branch, and there's a family branch. However, it's the court where you go after a case has already been held for court in municipal court. Okay. It goes to the Court of Common Pleas for trial. So you can have a trial in front of a judge or in front of a jury, but that's the main trial court in this jurisdiction.
Interesting. One last question. Time flies.
It does.
And I appreciate you being open and having this conversation. Like I said, a lot of people are scared. They think we're hard.
Right.
But
Really?
I mean, we're just asked the questions that the people want to ask.
Okay.
You know, just one more question. If you were asked to give your plea to the community to vote for you,
Yes.
what would be your last word, or what would be that plea, that statement that you would say, this is why you need to vote for me, vote for me?
Okay. Well, my plea would be that, number one, you want to look at a person's record, and you want to see what they've done in the years leading up to them asking you for their vote. And you want someone who's fair. And who else could be fair except someone who works with the community, who works with domestic violence victims, who work with people who really need a lawyer and will work with them for nothing. And you want a judge who you will feel comfortable going in front of and believing that they will hear you and that they will rule on your case, intersecting the law with the facts, and give you a fair ruling no matter what side it falls on. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. So you really would want to look at Theresa Brunson for those 3 things.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, you got any more questions?
I was just going to ask, do you believe that your, I guess your experience as far as like in the community would make you a better candidate? Well, this is probably a no-brainer, but
I believe it does. I really believe
Yes.
it does, because when you're able to touch people in the community, especially as a lawyer, because, you know, sometimes people look at lawyers as problem solvers. So everywhere I go, people, will give me scenarios and they want help in different situations. And I think that has helped me along the way because I have to really shift really fast because over here somebody will ask me about something criminal, then somebody will ask me about something civil, then somebody will ask me about some family law.
Right.
So I've been able to do all that. And I think that it has really helped me out a lot. Even today I was fielding calls from, I don't know my phone number, but people were calling me from out of town asking me a lot of legal questions. So,
my goodness.
I really enjoy it. And I think that it will make me a good judge because, you have to be able to think on your feet and know the law and give people answers to the questions that they have.
Fantastic. Clearly, we can't say, I guess, who to vote for, but what I will say is I don't know if you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. I don't care. I am for the people who I believe will best represent the community that looks like me and where I'm from. And I heard some great stuff. So fantastic. Do you have any last words?
Well, there's an election on May the 21st of 2019, and I hope that everyone, if you're not registered to vote, please vote now. Register to vote now so there'll be no question when it comes down to the 21st of May whether or not you're able to walk into the ballot booth. And I hope that you give me a look on my website. I have an Instagram page, Brunson for Judge. I have a website, same information, www.brunsonforjudge. And I'm also on Twitter with the same handle. So you can look and you can see my credentials. I also have a website for my law firm, which is brunson.online. There's a lot of information about me on there. There's also a lot of news articles for cases that I handled when I was in the district attorney's office. So give me a look. And I hope that I'm the type of candidate that you would like to see on the bench. And I hope that I'm the type of candidate that you will vote for on May 21st, 2019.
Yes, we need some more hashtag Black Girl Magic on the bench.
That's right.
I agree.
Black Girl Magic. Fantastic. Yes, we need them on the bench.
On the bench.
I'm just absolutely excited that we had a Miss Theresa Brunson for Judge Esquire, right?
Yes.
Esquire. We got to give her a she
Absolutely.
earned
Don't forget
that.
the
You know what I mean?
Esquire.
Sure
Don't forget,
did.
she definitely earned that. So, unfortunately, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. Man, check this out. So, we talk weekly after the talk podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and Spreaker. Make sure you follow us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and binge listen to our shows. Like and follow us on our We Talk Weekly Facebook page. And download the little TuneIn app. Look for WPPM LP 106.5 FM. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on We Talk Weekly's After the Talk. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at We Talk Weekly, at Charles Gregory, at Lauren_Sizzle, at SparklePrices1. Subscribe to our We Talk Weekly YouTube channel. And if you're in Philly, catch us every Monday night, 9:30, Comcast 66, Verizon 5, 29:30. And We Talk Weekly is on higher than 7. And that's right, we are syndicated. Shout out to Afro Philly and MBG Network. And We Talk Weekly is now syndicated. You can find us in Atlanta, Birmingham, Chicago, Delaware, Houston, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, Miami, Newark, New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia, and all across the nation. Who do you look for?
We Talk Weekly.
We Talk Weekly, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta go. Thank you to Theresa Brunson for Judge. Man, she came to We Talk Weekly to show some love. And if you're out there and if you're running, come to We Talk Weekly. Look, we're independent. We don't listen. We're just say if you're the good candidate, you're the best candidate. We just give a platform for the people to talk. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got other people coming up. This is We Talk Weekly. Your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
LaurenSizzle.
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And we gotta go, y'all. Holla.
Peace.